Who's ready to party? Welcome to another episode of the RadCast, the only podcast that ever has or ever will exist. I am, of course, your host, the ultimate radass, Jet Dade, and have I got an episode for you this week? We're actually going to change things up a little bit in tonight's episode. We're going to start off, of course, with Call It in the Back. And after that, I'm going to go over one of my favorite albums of all time, Becoming X by Sneaker Pimps. Track by track, you're going to get the Jet Dade insight on the full album. Don't go anywhere, more RadCast after the break.
Let it roll, baby, roll. Let it roll all night long. Do it, Robbie, do it.
Welcome back to the RadCast and to a segment I like to call It in the Back. A segment where a fan calls in and asks me a question or my opinion on something, and I try to answer it to the best of my ability. Today we've got Ralphie O'Ryan from Madison, Wisconsin. Ralphie, what you got for me today, buddy?
The Dadester. I just got a new electric piano. This isn't much of a question. This is more of a, I'm applying. I'm applying to be able to write your intro song. And I don't want to write the whole thing for you right now. This is kind of off the cuff. This is a little trailer that I'm, think of this as like a trailer for you and your fans to listen to. Maybe they will have a vote in this too, okay? So,
Doubt it.
it's one of those electric pianos. So that's why it's not going to sound like a real piano. I just wanted to get that out there. So, here's a little teaser trailer for you. Hold on. Wrong key. And then it goes like, no, I'll save that part for trailer. That's part 2. That's the callback interview. Thank you, Jet.
All right, thank you, Ralphie. I will say first things first. I like your showmanship, okay? A little freestyle on the piano. Leave 'em wanting more. The only real issue is I don't want any more. So don't call the show again. Don't send us any of your songs. It was bad, my guy. But I respect the hustle. I respect the grind. Hope you continue to watch and listen to the RadCast. I will humor you just for a moment, although it is a bit of a slap in the face as we're about to go over one of my favorite albums of all time to even give you the time of day with that terrible melody that you played for my ears. I want you to think about something. Think about what you pressed on those keys. What about that says Jet Dade's RadCast to you? And don't tell me you could write lyrics to it, because I could write lyrics to anything. I could say Jet Dade's RadCast over anything. That doesn't make it worthy, okay? Think about what you just did in front of potentially millions of viewers and listeners. You put your name on that. Go back to the drawing board, make something better, and don't send it to me, but, if you have other people in your circle that you trust, send it to them and get some help. More RadCast after the break. Welcome back to the RadCast, and tonight I, Jet Dade, am going to give you an overview of one of my favorite albums of all time. 1996, Becoming X by the Sneaker Pimps. One of the very few albums that I'm totally okay with to listen to in its entirety. feel like this album was way ahead of its time. And even though it's considered to be a trip-hop staple, I've had a difficult time finding any other trip-hop albums that I like nearly as much as this one, or that even really sounds like this. So if you know of anything, please hit me up, unless you're Ralphie Orion. So before we get into the track-by-track overview, a few big things that I'm not going to mention for every track, but is present in pretty much every track. The drum loops, okay? The deep bass lines, the moodiness of each song. So many samples that just fit perfectly to create an ominous but pretty chill vibe, along with some stuff that just kind of makes your head nod, you know? These traits are present in basically every track, so I'm not going to point it out every single time because, you know, every one of them's a banger, pretty much. Some of the music on this album, I fully do not understand how it was not a lot more popular or more talked about than it was upon its release, but here I am, gonna talk about it. So, without further ado, track 1, Low Place Like Home. Probably the heaviest track, and definitely one of my favorites. It's got a good mix of that 90s kind of grimy electronic sound, great drums, and Kelly Ali's vocals are just hypnotizingly cool here, which is true throughout the entire album, so I probably won't mention that again. Track 2, Tesco Suicide. So this is the first single off the album, and while I don't mind the song, it's fine. It's definitely my least favorite song on the album, which is odd that it was the first single, which honestly probably explains why my feelings about the album don't exactly line up with the reception that it had in '96 when it was released. You know, your boy just doesn't have those mid-90s ears, I suppose. Track 3, 6 Underground. Take me down, 6 underground, the ground beneath your feet. If you don't like this song, honestly, get out of my face. Definitely one of their biggest songs on the album. You may have heard a remix of it when Amanda Beckett walks into the party in the movie Can't Hardly Wait. But the original version starts with a sample from the Goodfinger soundtrack, James Bond. It's got a real moody tone all the way through. Probably their most well-known song. There's a good chance you've heard this. Track 4, Becoming X. You can keep breathing. So this is the title track, obviously. Starts out pretty ominously, picks up a bit, stays pretty low energy the whole song through. A lot of songs on this album are like that, which helps when there's a song that maybe isn't my favorite on the album, but because it's got a lower vibe to it, it's fine to just let it ride. So this song's very low-key throughout, but the ending is quite a bright spot. Got some nice reverb on the vocals there at the end. Track 5, Spin Spin Sugar. Call on me. Spin Spin Sugar. Another one of the biggest hits from this album, and it's got a good sound. Definitely a slight departure from the rest of the album. Bit of a faster pace, a bit more of a song to dance to, assuming you're listening to the single version and not the album version. The album version's pretty strange, actually, compared to the single version. I'd give both a listen to see what I'm talking about, so I don't sound like an idiot. Track 6. She must be a postmodern sleaze. Postmodern Sleaze, another one of the bigger singles from the album. Just a really, really nice song. While it's not quite my favorite, I think it's the one I'm most surprised wasn't a huge hit when it was released. Like, I'm just very surprised that this song and 6 Underground aren't seen more as just absolute classics today. Track 7, Water Baby. You watch my one of my favorite songs on the album. It took a while for me to really find it. Obviously, I heard it, but you have to listen to a song a couple of times and then you get it. And then once you get it, you got it, and it's good. It's grown on me a lot, for sure. It might be the coolest track on the whole album, which is saying a lot because the whole album's really cool. The lyrics to this song are a lot more direct, maybe than other tracks, probably second only to Postmodern Sleaze. There's a breakdown in the middle of the song that's very atmospheric. Really does a great job breaking up an already, kind of varied sound. Track 8, Roll On.
Roll on. These stars are open. Roll on.
The song's got a nice groove to it. The lyrics give this song just a little extra spark. If you listen to the words when you're hearing this song, you'll see what I'm saying. I also think this song maybe had the biggest distinction in sound between verses and chorus. Also, I believe at the end of this song might be the only guitar solo in the album. Track 9, Wasted Early Sunday Morning.
And in this sense of mine, you got an answer.
The reverb on the vocals here, accompanied again with a very chill, just classic trip-hop sound. It's not a banger, but track 10, Walking Zero.
Truth is boredom, it's excess. My time is only feeling up to you.
Once again, just a great vibe to this song, really great sampling on the track, and Kelly sounds cool as hell, as always. Track 11, How Do. So this song won't sound that much like the other songs on the album, and there's a reason for that. It's actually a cover of a song called Willow's Song from the 1973 film The Wicker Man. Now, you may have heard of The Wicker Man. You may have heard of the remake starring Nicolas Cage. That would be the movie where Nicolas Cage screams, "Not the bees, not the bees." If you don't know what I'm talking about, just search Nicolas Cage bees. You may have also heard the song in the 2005 film Hostel. Knowing that this song was in Hostel and Wicker Man, this song definitely could put forth some ominous vibes, but I think standing alone, it's almost like a magical, sort of a whimsical sound, to be honest, like a woodland fairy. And that's it. There you have it. The whole album, Becoming X. Unfortunately for me, after this album, the Sneaker Pimps decided to get rid of Kelly Ali, the leading vocalist for the album. So a lot of their stuff after this album just didn't sound the same. Now, a good thing is, if you like this album, there is another song they released called Walk the Rain with Kelly on vocals. It is an absolute banger. That's another song that I don't understand how it was not a huge hit and how it's not seen as just an absolute classic now. I love that song. Now, if you decide you do want more Sneaker Pimps, even without the vocals from Becoming X, they did release 2 albums following Becoming X, Splinter and Bloodsport. And if you wind up liking those, Chris Corner, who does the vocals for them in those albums, ventured into a solo project called I Am X, under which he's still making music, so check that out as well. It's good music, it's just the sound from Kelly Ali, to me, can't be beat. More RadCast after the break.
I curse and crawl like a desperate man. I walk the rain.
Welcome back to the RadCast. I hope you all enjoyed this special episode of the RadCast. And I do enjoy lots of music and movies. So it's a pleasure to be able to discuss the stuff that really stands out to me. And I would like to ask the listeners, are there any albums that you can put on and just listen all the way through? And if so, let me know either in the comments or on Instagram or on Twitter or anywhere else on the internet that you have access to me. And I'm always trying to discover more good music or movies, because I think that when those things are a big part of your life, any kind of media is a big part of your life, I think a lot of times your ideas can come in the form of those mediums. So maybe you think in terms of, this would be a great song, or this would be a great sound, or this would be a cool scene in a movie, or a hilarious scene in a movie. So you think in those ways, or you see or hear something that elicits some kind of an idea, some sort of a creative idea, some kind of imagery in your head, which you can, turn into an idea for any number of things in any other areas of your life. Anyway, that's how it works for me. So I assume other people are like that, or maybe I'm just a complete freakazoid. More RadCast after the break. Thank you for listening to this episode of the RadCast. Hope you enjoyed it. As always, any questions, comments, concerns, or suggestions about this episode or the RadCast in general, hit me up on Twitter and or Instagram at Jet Dade. I love hearing from you guys, and please hit the subscribe button to this YouTube channel to make sure you never miss an episode of the RadCast. I have been your host, the ultimate radass, Jet Dade, signing off.